When a sudden shift in sales performance demands fast answers, and we don't have the measures and visuals to communicate this, we can turn to Copilot and Power BI to accelerate the investigation. Instead of spending hours writing complex logic, you use natural language to generate and test DAX queries directly in the DAX query view, quickly validating what might be driving the change. As the insights emerge, Copilot helps you instantly translate your intent into full report pages, complete with visuals, slicers, and consistent layouts, so you can communicate findings with clarity and speed. Welcome, detectives. My name is Jason Richards, Microsoft Technical Trainer and Data Detective. This streamlined workflow shortens the path from questions to answers, empowering you to guide the business with confident, data-driven conclusions. So let's unlock the clues to reveal how Copilot and Power BI accelerates DAX creation and report development to solve analytics mysteries faster than ever. We'll start with how Copilot transforms the Power BI experience from the ground up. You'll learn what it takes to prepare a strong semantic model so Copilot can deliver accurate, meaningful insights. We'll explore how Copilot can write and explain DAX for you, generate compelling visuals and full report pages from natural language prompts, and create clear narrative summaries that turn complex data into actionable stories. By the end, you'll understand how Copilot streamlines every stage of Power BI report creation, making analysis faster, smarter, and more intuitive for developers and consumers alike. Before we examine the evidence using Copilot, we need to prepare the crime scene. In this case, your raw data. This begins with Power Query Editor to profile columns to spot quality issues, unexpected distributions, or missing values. Then clean the data by removing duplicates, correcting inconsistencies, and resolving out-of-range entries. This preparation step ensures your data is consistent, trustworthy, and ready for modeling and AI-driven analysis. Next in the process is creating a strong semantic model to organize clues so patterns become obvious. You define relationships between fact and dimension tables to enable accurate filtering and aggregation later in reports. Power BI's relationship auto-detection gives you a starting point, and you validate and enhance to ensure a stable and trustworthy model so that Copilot can start performing some heavy lifting. Where does that start? Why, DAX, of course. When you query data, you translate business questions into precise logic. In the DAX query view in Power BI Desktop, Copilot helps by converting natural language prompts into structured DAX queries. This allows you to rapidly test ideas without writing every line from scratch. Think of Copilot as surfacing possible patterns, while you validate the logic and ensure the query aligns with the analytical question that you're trying to answer. Exploration often reveals new metrics worth formalizing. After using Copilot to suggest and evaluate DAX measures in query form, you can update the model with only the measures that add real analytical value. This approach lets you experiment safely, compare results, and then promote the best calculations into reusable measures. You're deciding which metrics become permanent tools for future investigations. This acceleration is game-changing, but our assistant detective isn't done with this case yet. Once the model is ready, you shift from analysis to communication. Copilot helps translate your intent into report pages, visuals, and layouts by either selecting the Create Report Page suggestion or developing your own prompt. By generating slicers, cards, and charts in a consistent theme, Copilot reduces manual design effort and lets you concentrate on whether the visuals tell the right story. Your role is to evaluate clarity and relevance, ensuring each visual supports meaningful insight. After publishing, the semantic model and report live in the Power BI service, where Copilot can even generate new report pages directly from the model. Copilot can provide several suggested prompts based on your semantic model. Custom prompts allow you to guide Copilot with your domain knowledge and business requirements. You can request highly specific views, such as top performing products or category level breakdowns, and review what Copilot produces. This is an iterative process. Refine prompts, assess limitations, and adjust outputs until the visuals align with your analytical intent. Well-phrased prompts help Copilot generate clear visuals, summaries, and insights, reducing rework, and always review Copilot's responses as a first draft, since AI-generated results can vary and may contain inaccuracies. Now we have a report worthy of consumption. But why stop there? With the help of Copilot, we can also plan ahead for future AI use. How? Would I ask if I wasn't going to tell you? To make Copilot more effective for business users, you curate the model with AI in mind. This includes simplifying schemas, removing unnecessary columns, and using clear descriptive names. You also define verified answers that link common questions to specific visuals and provide AI instructions that explain business rules or seasonal patterns. This context helps Copilot reduce ambiguity and produce more accurate, relevant responses. Before declaring the model ready, you test queries, summaries, and verified answers to confirm results are correct. Once validated, you mark the semantic model as prep for AI in the Power BI service. This status signals that the model has been reviewed and is safe for broader Copilot-driven exploration. Power BI operates within the larger Microsoft Fabric analytics platform, and Copilot can interact with both Power BI content and Fabric data agents. While Copilot in Power BI focuses on productivity and report development, Fabric data agents can be customized with deeper instructions and specialized data access. Understanding this distinction helps you decide which AI capabilities best support your organization's analytical workflows. When data is AI ready, business users can chat with it using Copilot in the Power BI service. Users ask questions in everyday language, receive answers with supporting visuals, and generate summaries for decision-making. This democratizes insight discovery, enabling everyone to follow evidence, uncover patterns, and make informed decisions without deep technical expertise. Now, you might be saying to yourself, all right, Mr. Data Detective, all this looks great on a slide, but what about in the real world? Well then, let's fire up the DetectiveLab 5000, call on our trusty Associate Detective Copilot, and accelerate some report creation. Great news, detectives. Contoso has been very pleased with our health and transport work that we've been asked to solve another mystery for, the case of the BI breakthrough. Contoso has asked us to extend its transport warehouse to a Power BI report. We have a tight deadline, so we're going to leverage our trusty assistant, Detective Copilot, to help us accelerate this report process. We'll start by bringing in data from a sample warehouse into Power BI Desktop and model it into a star schema. Once we have that, Copilot can take over and help us to create measures and generate report pages. Although we're not asked to do so, just in case, we'll prep the data for AI use later. After all, we still need to cover data agents. All right, before we get started, one setting needs addressed. In Power BI Desktop, we need to connect to a Copilot-enabled workspace to use it. You can see that I am actually signed in with my Enter ID email and have selected a workspace that has Copilot capability. Let's start by connecting to the data. From Power BI Desktop, I'm going to connect to the sample warehouse SQL endpoint. Get data, Microsoft Fabric. We're going to connect to a warehouse. And there is our transport warehouse, and I'm going to connect to the SQL endpoint. Now, while this doesn't take advantage of direct lake connection benefits, when I use an import connection, auto detection for relationships will take place, and this will help save us time down the road. So I'm going to select the tables that we're going to bring in. There we go. Load those up. Choose import and hit OK. Right now it's connecting to the SQL endpoint in our Fabric warehouse. And now I can validate data after the loading just to confirm that I have row counts for all the tables that I loaded. So date, geography, acne, Italian time, trip. Awesome. Looks like we have all of our data. So now let's model the data. Now, since I leveraged an import connection, AutoDetect did a lot of the upfront relationship building. And now I can go in and make a few adjustments to create a nice star schema. And that's where dimension tables will filter into fact tables. Now, relationships are auto-created based on column name and data type when it's imported. If we decided to either direct query or use direct lake storage mode, AutoDetect would not be an option. You can still build your schema manually for time. We're going to use AutoDetect capabilities in this scenario. Now, our relationship or our warehouse had relationships built between dimensions that aren't necessary all the time in a semantic model. The simpler the model, the better. So we'll fix those and create inactive relationships so we can make comparisons like when someone was picked up versus when someone was dropped off. Right? So you could see that I already have trip as my fact table, right? And you could see it created some irrelevant relationships that I'm just going to delete right here. Delete this one. I have a time. Let me get into full view so I can see this a little bit better. I have a time ID key that I'm going to build between, actually, let's go ahead and do weather by geography. Or by date. Let's do weather by date. All right, and then I got time and geography that I'll create inactive relationships between. So we've got a pickup. And we'll also do a drop off. And under our time, we have a pickup time and a drop off time. Pickup. And our drop off. Right, so you can see that inactive relationships are identified by these dotted lines. Just zoom in so you can see our final star schema. All right, looking good. Now that we have what I'll refer to as a stable semantic model for default filter propagation, now it's time to call in Copilot for backup. Since the semantic model allows Copilot to ground its responses, Copilot can better determine how to build and create measures. It's also a good idea to ensure that your data has been validated for errors, missing, and duplicate data and mitigated. Also, rename objects for human understanding and add any calculated objects and aggregations as well. In respect to time, we're not doing this, but it's highly recommended to have the proper context so that Copilot can do its best. So now we'll navigate into the DAX view, and I'll ask Copilot to generate common business metrics. I'll add some KPI measures. That way we'll know what we need for like total revenue, average fare, trip count, and average trip duration. I'm going to use natural language, and Copilot uses a semantic model to properly format this. Pasting that in, so I'm going to create those measures using natural language here. All right, so after Copilot generates the measures, I'll review the DAX. So we can scroll up right? You could see also that not only does Copilot define measures, the measures that we're asking, but it will also run and evaluate for each of the measures that were created. So what I can do now is hit run to validate the output, just to make sure that I have valid responses here. And then I can select keep query down below to allow us to update the model to add the new measures. All right, let's validate that the measures were added. We can go into our trip and you can see that average fare, average trip duration, total revenue, and trip count were added. All right, let's take this a step further by allowing Copilot to create some additional measures. Now, what I'll do here is I'll just hit the Copilot icon and hit suggest measures. So we'll clear this out. I'll hit the Copilot icon and click suggest measures. Now Copilot will look at the model, including the measures that we've already created earlier, and generate new ones. Let's see what Copilot comes up with. Remember, once an output results, run the result, validate outputs before adding. And let's see here. It looks like it added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 measures. Defined. We'll run to validate. Looks like there are values and everything. So again, run down, hit keep query, and update the model with the new measures. Now, all these measures, and I didn't use one snippet of DAX. How awesome is that? But wait, I've noticed we haven't taken advantage of those inactive relationships. So let's take care of that too. Let me clear out what I have here. I'm going to hit the Copilot icon again, and using natural language, I'm going to paste in suggest new measures based on any inactive relationships. All right, let's look at the result here. So you can see that it's intentionally using the use relationship DAX function to take advantage of those inactive relationships in our model. So not only can Copilot generate measures based on active relationships, it can also generate these based on inactive relationships. Again, validate by running, ensure that there's outputs, and then if everything looks fine, which it does, we can keep the query and update the model with these 12 new measures. Great. Now we'll move over to the report view and open up the Copilot chat pane. You can see here that there are some pre-generated prompts we can leverage. Our goal here is to get a couple of report pages. So when creating report pages, it's easy for Copilot to get confused if you're too general. Copilot can guide you a little, but the more specific you are, the better. A good technique would be to map out the type of page you want and include any specific visual types you want to include. The more information, the better. Here, I'm going to use a prompt that clearly defines what visual types and data to create, and I'm going to be explicit in asking to use existing measures and keep the current page styling. So I have my prompt in here, being very detailed about what types of visuals I want to include. So KPI cards for our 4 measures, our base measures we created, our clustered column chart, line chart, and a detail table. All right, so I'll quickly validate values and make layout adjustments here. And you may also notice that font types and colors are actually following the pattern in our template. I'll even leverage Copilot in a narrative visual to generate a page narrative for our analysts. So I'm going to take these visuals now so you can see our line chart, our column chart. We have all of our KPIs over here. our 4 KPIs. I can accelerate this by control selecting, going into my format. We'll just top align all this to make things that and spread them all out. Distribute those horizontally. We'll take these and make those a little bit smaller so I can fit everything on a page here. All right, and now I'm going to have Copilot generate a narrative for me. So I'm going to select a narrative, visual. I'll have Copilot generate it for me. And now we can take this narrative and put it down on the bottom. All right. So now we have an overview page. Now let's have Copilot suggest a report page to create while leveraging our current styling. What I'm doing right now is just entering a prompt that is telling Copilot to suggest new report pages for me. So I got payment method analysis, geographic revenue insights, weather impact on transportation. Let's go with that one, right? So I'll click on it, I'll hit create, and instead of adding visuals to the current page, now Copilot will create a brand new report page for me, adhering again to the template styling. Add KPIs, add different charting for the details I want to include on this new report that it's creating, or Copilot wants to include on this report. And we'll see what it comes up with. You can also see it added slicers up here too, which is nice. And just like that, KPIs, details, and minutes, not hours, which is pretty nicely done. Now, for the final step, we're going to prep the model for AI. This is where we teach AI how to understand and use the model. Now, this is essential for agent and large language model use cases. And it all starts with the Prep Data for AI button. First, we need to have an AI-based process to focus on what we intend to use the semantic model for when leveraging in our data estate. In this case, we want this model to be leveraged for KPIs, not all the details. So we'll only include the tables and measures we want. This would include all the fact and dimension tables, except for the license-based ones, and we'll only include our main KPI measures. You do this under Simplify Data Schema, so I will deselect the license, anything related to licenses, and under all of my measures, except for my key ones, average trip duration, get rid of just any irrelevant measures. All right, very good. Next, we'll add AI instructions. Now, this will add context into how to use this model. We'll include context such as measures should always be used for KPIs, geography is used for borough analysis, and date and time handle trends and peak hours. This ensures consistent interpretation of business questions. So, AI instructions. Let me apply these changes. Add AI instructions. So you can see, adding in specifics for KPI details, date table information, time attributes, and then we'll apply this as well. Finally, we'll add verified answers, which will pair common business questions with existing visuals in our report. Copilot will even suggest verified questions based on the data and the visual. Here, we'll take our KPI visuals. In more options, we'll select verified answers. So I'll go back into my overview. And in each visual, we go into more options and set up a verified answer. You'll see that Copilot will generate some questions, verified answers. I will just add the defaults here, apply, and then we'll repeat that for all of our KPIs. And last one. And now our data is prepped for AI. Wow. All this accomplished in so little time. All we need to do now is publish this to a Copilot-enabled workspace, and we can have end users consume the report and be able to get contextually relevant Copilot responses from Fabric. It will also be ready for any future AI integration later. I think that's a wrap on this case. Let's head back. As we close this case, you've now seen how Copilot in Power BI accelerates analytics workflows. From generating meaningful DAX and rapidly building report pages that clearly communicate your insights. You learned how Copilot can explain and write DAX for you, generate visuals and full report layouts from natural language, and turn complex data into clear narrative summaries that accelerate decision-making. You also explored how preparing your model with AI in mind improves accuracy, reduces ambiguity, and ensures business users get reliable, guided answers when exploring data with Copilot. With these skills, you're ready to tackle your next analytics mystery with confidence. Thanks for joining.